Good afternoon, students. Today's session is for BSc Nursing second year students. The topic is hypothyroidism. So, hypothyroidism is also known as underactive thyroid or low thyroid. Okay, as the name is suggesting, it is underactive or low thyroid. So, we can define it as a condition in which the thyroid gland is underactive. It is not functioning normally, it has a hypofunction, and because of this there is a deficiency of the hormones, that is T3 and the T4. T3 hormone is known as triiodothyronine, and the tetraiodothyronine is known as T4 or the thyroxine hormone. So in hypothyroidism there is a deficiency of the thyroid hormones, and this is known as hypothyroidism. It is more common in the females than in the males, and it is also common in the people who are over the age of 60. The causes can be congenital or the acquired. Congenital means they will be present at birth, while acquired they will be developed later at developmental life. In the acquired, we can divide them further into primary, secondary, and the tertiary. Let's discuss about these. In the congenital, there is the dysgenesis of the thyroid gland, that is agenesis or the ectopy. It means the thyroid gland is not produced, agenesis, right? It is not developed. Then ectopy means it is located somewhere else, not in its normal position, in normal location, right? Basically the thyroid gland, it is located in the anterior neck region between the second and the fifth tracheal ring. But in the ectopy, most commonly it is lingual thyroid. It means it will be present at the base of the tongue. So it is present at the base of the tongue, and it has a hypofunction leading to the hypothyroidism. Then defects in the hormone synthesis. So as you all know, there is a requirement of iodine, then the thyroglobulin, and then thyroid peroxidase also. So these are all are required for the production of thyroid hormones. So if there is any defect in this process, then it will lead to the hypothyroidism. Then resistance to the thyroid hormones. The thyroid hormones are produced, but there is a resistance. It means the body is unable to properly utilize these thyroid hormones. Although there is a etiology of congenital hypothyroidism is not completely understood, but there are 8 known causative genes have been identified which are mutated, like TG, TPO, DOX2, DOXA2, SLC5A5, SLC26A4, IYG, and the TSHR. So this was all about the congenital hypothyroidism. Then acquired. In the acquired, we discuss primary, secondary, and tertiary. So what is primary? In the primary, there is a inadequate function of the thyroid gland. Okay, while in the secondary there will be problem in the pituitary gland, and in the tertiary there will be problem in the hypothalamus. Now the causes of primary hypothyroidism are iodine deficiency. So as I told you, the iodine is essential for the formation of thyroid, right? Thyroid hormones T3 and the T4. So if there is a deficiency because the person is not taking iodine in the diet, he or she is not taking the iodized salt or fish or the dairy components, so this will lead to the iodine deficiency. Most common cause is the iodine deficiency. Second is, if there is no any problem of the iodine deficiency in those regions, second in those regions the most common cause is Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So what is Hashimoto's thyroiditis? It is autoimmune disorder. Okay, so it is an autoimmune disorder. It means there will be destruction of the thyroid cells, and if the thyroid cells are destructed, there will be no production of thyroid hormones. So what happened, because it is autoimmune, your thyroid gland is getting infiltrated with the lymphocytes and the antibodies. Okay, and these antibodies are produced against thyroid peroxidase, thyroglobulins, and the TSH receptors. All these are responsible for formation of the thyroid hormones. So in the Hashimoto thyroiditis, it is an autoimmune disorder in which the thyroid cells are destructed. Now postpartum thyroiditis. So um, a little information that yes, during pregnancy also hypothyroidism occurs, right? What happens during pregnancy? There is a suppression of immunity because the body may reject the fetus. So during pregnancy there is a immunological suppression so that fetus can't be rejected. Now what happens following the delivery? Okay, the immune system rebound back and the antibodies levels rise. Okay, so this may cause the postpartum thyroiditis. And what is it? It is a thyroid dysfunction, and which occurs in the 1 year after the pregnancy, and it may involve hyper also, hypo also, or they may can occur sequentially, like the first hypothyroidism then hypothyroidism. So um, uh, after the pregnancy there may be hypothyroidism because the female have postpartum thyroiditis. Now, iatrogenic means which is related with the treatment or the diagnostic procedure. First is after thyroidectomy. It occurs, for example, the patient had thyroid cancer and he or she underwent thyroidectomy because of that cancer. So, because thyroid gland is removed or a portion of the thyroid gland is removed, there will be less production of the thyroid hormones. Then radioiodine therapy. This therapy is basically used for the hyperthyroidism and the thyroid cancer. What happened in this therapy? A radioactive iodine is swallowed by the patient, like it will be given in the form of pill, and then it is absorbed in the bloodstream, then it is concentrated by the thyroid gland. And when it is in the thyroid gland, this iodine is radioactive. It means it will emit the radiation. Okay, and then the radiation will be emitted and then it will destroy the gland cells. So radioiodine therapy can also cause hypothyroidism. Then antithyroid medications. These antithyroid medications are destroying the thyroid cells, thyroid gland, and stop and thyroid gland get stopped to produce the T3 and the T4. These medications includes amiodarone and the lithium. Now this was all about the primary hypothyroidism. Now secondary. I told you in the secondary hypothyroidism there will be pituitary disorders, right? So if there is a pituitary disorder, there will be inadequate releasing of the thyroid stimulating hormone. So there will be for example, there can be any tumor of the pituitary or surgery of the pituitary or radiation to the pituitary. So it may be that because of the any autoimmune disorder it is destroyed, or because there is iron overload in the body. This iron overload will destroy these thyroid cells, sorry, these pituitary cells, and tuberculosis also. So all these at the end are causing the destruction of the pituitary, due to which there is inadequate release of the thyroid stimulating hormone. Then tertiary hypothyroidism, it is very rare condition, and hypothalamus is affected, due to which there is inadequate release of the TRH, that is thyrotropin releasing hormone. So we discussed the causes of the hypothyroidism. Now pathophysiology. In the primary hypothyroidism, the thyroid gland is affected, so T3 and T4 are not produced. And because T3 and T4 are not produced, but hypothalamus and pituitary are normal, so there will be a negative feedback to the pituitary and the hypothalamus, due to which there will be increased amount of TSH. So in the primary hypothyroidism there will be increased TSH, decreased T3 and T4. While in the secondary hypothyroidism, because it is a pituitary disorder, so there will be decreased TSH, and because there is a decreased TSH, there will be decreased T3 and T4. They even though the negative feedback mechanism will not be helpful, right? Then in the tertiary also, because of the hypothalamus, there is decreased TRH. Then decreased TRH will lead to decreased thyroid stimulating hormone, and ultimately decreased levels of T3 and the T4. So this is the pathophysiology. The secondary and the tertiary hypothyroidism are also known as central hypothyroidism. Okay. Now sign and symptom. Because thyroid hormones are responsible for metabolism, so there will be sign and symptom related to the decreased metabolic rate, that is fatigue. Then bradykinesia. Bradykinesia means the voluntary and the involuntary movements speed. The speed of doing all these movements are decreased. For example, a patient is dragging feet while walking. Then cold intolerance, hair loss, cold and dry skin. The person has a poor appetite. The person does not take meal properly, but he or she is gaining weight. Then constipation, bradycardia. Myopathy. Myopathy means there is a dysfunction of muscle fibers, but there is no any environment of neuromuscular junction or nerve supply. So it may include muscle pain, weakness, cramping, myalgia, muscle pain, stiffness, cramps, and there is a delayed relaxation phase of the deep tendon reflexes. Okay, and this sign is called Voltman sign. So when you check the reflexes of the patient, in deep tendon reflexes of the patient, in the relaxation, it will require a long time to get relaxed. Then symptoms related to the generalized mixed edema. So what happened, because of this hypothyroidism, there is a stimulation, there is increased TSH levels, right? Then this will stimulate the fibroblast cells. Fibroblast cells are the cells of the connective tissue. They will get stimulated, and they will what they will do, they will deposit the polysaccharides into the dermis layer. Okay, and these polysaccharides will bind to the water, and therefore they will produce a non-pitting boggy edema, and most commonly eyes, hands and feet are affected. So what's happening, there is a deposition of the polysaccharides into the dermis layer, and these polysaccharides are binding to the water and producing the edema, which is non-pitting in nature. So there may be diffy skin texture, puffy appearance, mixed edematous heart disease, which may include dilated cardiomyopathy and bradycardia and the dyspnea. What is dilated cardiomyopathy? It is the dilatation and impaired contraction of one or both ventricles, and this may result into heart failure also. Then mixed edema coma. This is a very life-threatening condition, and occurs because of hypothyroidism and the mixed edema. We will discuss about this in the complication portion more elaborately. Then hoarse voice and difficulty articulating words. This is occurring because edema is occurring, so there will be thickening of the tongue also, there will be thickening of the laryngeal and the pharyngeal mucosa also. So it will lead to the slurred speech and the hoarseness of the voice. Then edema in the periorbital and the pretibial layer. Then symptoms of hyperprolactinemia. So if the person is having hypothyroidism, there will be hyperprolactinemia, increased prolactin levels in the blood. So what happened, TRH will stimulate the prolactin production, and if there is increased prolactin, there will be decreased FSH, LH, gonadotropin releasing hormone, testosterone. So this also stimulate the breast tissue growth. So there may be abnormal menstrual cycle, like secondary amenorrhea or the menorrhagia. Secondary amenorrhea means the female is not getting regular menses for more than 3 months among the women who were having previously regularly cycles, or there is a absence of the regular menses for more than 6 months among the women who were having irregular cycles. Okay, then menorrhagia. In the menorrhagia, there will be abnormally high flow of bleeding. It will be more than 80 ml of bleeding, or for prolonged duration, like for more than 7 days. Then galactorrhea. Galactorrhea is nipple discharge because there is a milk production in the man or the breastfeeding woman, non-breastfeeding woman. Then decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, delayed ejaculation and the infertility. So these may occur in the hypothyroidism also. Then there may be impaired cognition, like concentration, memory will be affected depression, the person may get hypertension and maybe goiter also. Goiter is a finding in the Hashimoto thyroiditis. Goiter means there is a enlargement of the thyroid gland, and you can easily palpate it that there is an enlargement of the gland, and this is occurring because there is reduced T3 and the T4, so there will be compensatory mechanism. The thyroid gland will do hyperplasia. There will be increase in the number of thyroid cells. In the congenital, there may be general signs and symptoms which we discussed earlier. Then after the delivery of the baby, there may be the newborn can have umbilical hernia. There can be prolonged neonatal jaundice, hypotonia. The muscle tone will be decreased. There will be decreased activity, poor feeding, and adipsia. Adipsia means a person is inappropriately, there is a decreased or the absent feeling of thirst. Then hoarse cry and the macroglossia. Then if the person is having congenital iodine deficiency syndrome, it is present at birth of the child, and it is occurred because the mother do not have sufficient iodine intake during the pregnancy. So there may be impaired development of the brain skeleton, which may result in the skeletal abnormalities like short stature, delayed fontanel closures, and the intellectual disabilities. Fontanels, um, in the newborn babies, the skeletal bones are not fused together. There is some space in between these skull bones. These are known as fontanels. So there is a specific time period when they will be closed. So there may be delay in these fontanel closure. Now, how to diagnose? Now, for the congenital, most commonly the test is performed. The TSH and the free T4 levels are checked, usually 24 to 48 hours of birth, and there will be elevated TSH levels and the free T4 will be low. Then in the acquired, you can see, first we will measure the TSH level. Okay, then we will find out whether it is normal, whether it is high, whether it is low. If it is normal, it means the person does not have any hypothyroidism, unlikely. But if it is high, it means the person may have primary hypothyroidism. And if it is low, then there may be secondary or the tertiary hypothyroidism. After the TSH test, if it is high, if it is low, then we will go for the free T4 levels, right? Now, if the T4 levels are low, it means the person is having primary hypothyroidism. So as I told you earlier, in the primary hypothyroidism, there is a low T3 and T4 and TSH will be elevated. So that's why it will be primary hypothyroidism. But if T4 is normal and TSH is high, it means it is subclinical hypothyroidism. And if it was low, TSH was low, and the FT4 is also low, it means it can be secondary or the tertiary. So this is the way how we diagnose the hypothyroidism. Antibody testing is also done for the thyroglobulin antibodies or the antibodies for the thyroid peroxidase. Then thyrotropin binding inhibitory immunoglobulin assay is also performed, in which antibodies are checked which may inhibit the binding of the TSH to its receptor. So these are also checked whether they are present. Then radioiodine uptake test is done, and it measures the proportion of exogenous iodine which is taken up by the thyroid, normally 10 to 35%. But if it is decreased uptake, it means it is hypothyroidism. Now the management, how to do the management of the hypothyroidism, because there is a decreased levels of thyroid hormone, so we will give the hormone replacement therapy, that is levothyroxine is given. And if these thyroxine level depends upon what is the age of the patient, whether the person is a children, it is a newborn, it is the adult, it is the adolescent, it is older age person, it is a pregnant lady, in which trimester she is, and absolutely the thyroid function test is checked, and these values are considered for the replacement of the thyroid this hormone. So follow up with the laboratory test of thyroid function as essential for the regular intervals, and doses adjustment is required. The main thing you have to teach the patient that take this medication 30 to 60 minutes before breakfast or 4 hours after food. Now, if the person is having congenital hypothyroidism, then within 2 to 3 weeks there must be normalization of thyroid hormone, because this is essential so that the brain damage and the developmental disorders can be prevented. If the person is pregnant female and she is having pre-existing hypothyroidism, she was having the hypothyroidism before pregnancy, so levothyroxine dose must be increased, but it should be reduced to the pre-pregnancy levels after the delivery. Then elderly patients or who are having the cardiovascular condition, the levothyroxine should be initiated at a low dose and then gradually increase, because when you give the thyroid hormone, there will be increased heart rate, increased contractility of the heart. So if you give the higher dose at a one time at the initiation time, there may be chances the person may have acute coronary syndrome. Now, complications. These are the most common complication: mixed edema, coma, increased cardiovascular risk, and Carpenter syndrome. So we will discuss mixed edema, coma in the next slide. But why there is an increased cardiovascular risk? Because thyroid hormone is not produced properly, right? It is hypothyroidism, and body does not break down and remove the low density lipoproteins as efficiently as usual. So there will be increased LDL levels in the blood, there will be increased cholesterol levels. So increased cholesterol levels will lead to the cardiovascular risk. And then carpal tunnel syndrome. So the exact pathophysiology is unknown, but yes, because of the mixed edema, there may be deposition of these polysaccharides on the median nerve, so it will be compressed, and therefore there will be damage of the median nerve, leading to the tingling sensation, pain in the hands and the wrist. So these are the complications. Now, mixed edema coma, it is extremely rare condition, and it is occurred in hypothyroidism, and it can be triggered by infection, surgery, and the trauma. It is life threatening condition, and it is very fatal if left untreated. Now, what are the signs and symptoms? Impaired mental status, hypothermia, mixed edema, hypoventilation, hypercapnia, in which there will be elevated carbon dioxide levels. Then person may go into hypotension or shock, and the bradycardia. So these are the complications. So in today's session we discussed about hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism means there is a deficiency of the thyroid hormones. This can be caused by congenital by way, and there can be acquired hypothyroidism. Like in the congenital, it will be present at birth, and in the acquired there can be primary, secondary, and the tertiary, depending upon whether the thyroid gland is affected, pituitary gland is affected, or hypothalamus is affected. Most common cause for the primary hypothyroidism is the iodine deficiency, but if there is no any iodine deficiency, the most common cause is Hashimoto thyroiditis. So signs and symptoms will develop because there will be decreased metabolic rate, there will be mixed edema, there will be hyperprolactinemia. All this will lead to the different signs and symptoms which we discussed. Diagnosis include the blood test involving the thyroid function test, which involve TSH and free T3 and the T4 levels. Then radio iodine uptake test, and the antibodies test. Management is include most commonly is the levothyroxine replacement therapy, and the complications includes mixed edema, coma, carpal tunnel syndrome, and the increased risk of cardiovascular diseases. So this was all about the hypothyroidism. I hope you have learned something about hypothyroidism. You are free to ask any question regarding hypothyroidism. Thank you so much.